Hi, I'm Becky. I'm an addict. I did write stuff down, but I'm actually just going to go from the heart on this. On August 26, 2006, I had 7 U.S. Marshals come through my front door. And I remember the anger, feeling angry at everybody else because they did this. And I just remember being taken away and thinking of the phone call that my mother was going to get. And sitting in a cold cell after being questioned for hours. And I had to own what I did. I had taken a drug dealer across state lines to sell a pill, and just so I could get a high. And I remember sitting in there just thinking, how did I end up here? I had a great childhood. My parents were separated, but I was loved by so many. I had amazing grandparents who, they were my whole life. Sorry. It was horrible. It was just the scariest, loneliest day, but you would have thought that it would have clicked, and it still didn't. It really didn't. My mother came to get me, and I remember I was a little bitter, but I was relieved because I was out of there, and I was on probation, pre-trial. I don't think the seriousness had sunk in because I went back to using and drinking to oblivion. My poison was Oxycontin, and I used a lot. I don't like to go into the stories of my time using because whoever's an addict, you know how the story goes. But on pre-trial probation, I decided to get arrested 3 more times. And I just DUI, shoplifting, and check forgery. It was, but I still didn't have a problem, and it was everybody else's fault. And then I went to court on the DUI, and the probation officer had said, you're not leaving, you are going to prison. And I said, no way. I was panicking, calling everybody. I called my mother, I called my boyfriend, who is my husband now. I called everybody, and nobody could do anything. This was the first time that my mother could not bail me out. And somebody had said earlier that you had asked somebody, what is something your parents could have done different? And that is the one thing. When my mother stopped doing everything for me and gave me the tough love is when it really meant I had to work. And that was hard for her because, we were best of friends, and I'm her baby. And but I had to grow up, and I spent 96 days in prison, and those were the worst days of my life. I had a really hard detox. I didn't sleep for 42 straight nights, and I would just sit up rocking back and forth thinking, this can't be real. But I was picked up by the federal U.S. Marshals out of Framingham State Prison and transferred to federal holding to face my federal charges. I remember sitting in the federal holding thinking, I can't believe this is going to happen. So I went to the federal judge, and for the first time in my life, when he asked me to stand up and tell him why I had done this, I was honest. I was so honest, and it just poured from me. And I looked up, and that judge was crying, saying he couldn't believe that I was standing here alive. And it really hit me. And he said, I'm going to give you another chance at life, and I'm going to send you to a program. And 3 days later, I was transferred across the way to a program in Stratford County in Dover. And it was a no-nonsense bullshit program. I was not going to manipulate my way out of anything this time. I was a good manipulator. But I worked hard, but I still wore a mask every day. I would change my clothes 70 times, I would make up. and they took it all away. They said, you're gonna get one outfit a day, no makeup, no hair stuff, nothing. And for the first time, I was forced to look at me, and I did. And I really did, and I can remember the day, I still tried getting out, calling Mom to come get me, and sneak out and not have to do it, but I did it. And I worked hard. And I will never forget the day that I finally realized, looking deep down inside, and I could say, I love myself. Because I hated myself for so long for what I did. I did a lot of bad things, but I wasn't a bad person, I was a sick person. It doesn't make it right, but I worked really hard, and I was so happy that day. I called everybody to say, guess what? I love myself. Yep, I loved myself. And oh, it was the best. It really was, because that's what it was about. I had to dig deep and really face what the problem was, because it was me. And I graduated from the downstairs, and I got some harsh criticism about my manipulativeness, being manipulative, but I really worked on that. I went upstairs to the halfway house program, and I really worked hard. And I went to meetings every night, and I remember looking, my first night in there, when I walked into that program, they said, you never have to feel this way again. And that hit home, because I said, wow, I really don't. I don't have to do this again. And I remember a speaker at the meeting talking about her life and everything she had, and I wanted all of those things. And I said, I'm going to have it. I did leave the halfway house earlier, and they had said, you know, you're not going to make this. So I had a little bit of that, I'm going to show them. And I did. I've worked hard. And has recovery been perfect? No, it's not the textbook of what everybody says, but it's my recovery. And it works. I stay sober. I never thought that I'd have what I have. I have an amazing husband who's been by me. I have relationships with my family that I never thought I'd have, closer to my mom than ever. And I have the most precious little 4-year-old who's my life. And, you know, I've been faced with a lot with him. He was diagnosed with autism, and he is facing another surgery. We've been through a couple surgeries. His health isn't the best, but I've stayed sober through it all, and I am there for him, and I'm there for everybody. And I just want everybody to know that recovery is possible, because I'm going to celebrate 10 years in November 29th.